perspective. And I'm going to talk about a phenomenon that you hear talk about. Is Donald Trump an antichrist by a lot of people on the far right, the evangelical Christians say, does he have a spirit of the antichrist? Let's talk about that for a second. I have a very long history with theological study, not only as a Jewish person or a Marxist, but also as just a person that I like stories, I like history, I like mythology. I've read all about many different gods and stuff. So let's talk about the Donald. Does he meet the let's use it like the basic Antichrist. Let's look at the first thing. They say the Antichrist will have a number, the mark of the beast, a name. 666 sometimes. Nero is another one. But an interesting thing, if you look at Donald Johann Drumpf, which is Donald's German name, Donald being 6 letters, Drumpf being 6, and Johann being 6, that in and of itself is kind of meaningless. But let's look at a couple other things where I'm not saying Donald Trump is the Antichrist. This is that we're talking about what other people think, and we're giving our perspective on it. So I will say it is funny how he meets that, but he's not the first leader in history that met that. So as far as the Antichrist, I don't know if there'd be one. It's probably many. However, yeah, they are many. In any case, let's look to the Middle East, okay? He built a temple, so to speak, or a unholy abomination, as the scripture had said, in a holy place, which would be the moving of the embassy. So look to when, I believe the Apocrypha says, look to when the abomination is set up in the holy place. And that will be a herald of the coming, because the Antichrist will give forward to this this building of some monument in a holy place. And then it says that he will fool the elected. And I would say, like, religious people from all religions have been fooled, definitely. And whether they were moral before the Donald or after, who can say? Only a person knows their morality. But definitely, I'd say he swayed or fooled the elect or religious people. Look at the evangelical people that have become raving lunatics, basically, for the blood of the enemies of America, and created a whole mythology all his own. So the other thing, which is odd, and it says that one of the figures of the Antichrist, one of these characters of the drama of the Apocrypha of Revelation, says that will receive a wound about the head, and people will declare this a miracle and say, who can compare with this? He will be given authority to rule. He will have somebody that is like a lamb that he uses as a speaker. And I think of, like, they could probably say J.D. Vance is that. And so hypothetically, I think Tom Hartman kind of has a really good, it's about an 8-minute episode about this. And I think, the guy meets the criteria of a apocryphal kind of revelation, evangelical Christian Antichrist. But at the end of the day, wouldn't it be maybe a little simpler just to say that he's this entitled man of perdition? And basically, because of this awe that America seems to have for the wealthy, I mean, look at what people do. They bend themselves over backwards to outdo each other in ostentatiousness. Even poor people will get gaudy things to try to look like they have money. And for what reason? Even with, just the accoutrements that people will do to try to make themselves look more beautiful, to make themselves feel as if they are more of a success. These accoutrements don't do those things. If you're not okay here, you're not going to be by anything you give yourself. if you don't feel good in your own skin, you're not going to. And most people never do. I think it's a blessing most people never feel good in their own skin because it keeps us humble. And I think going back to Donald Johann Trump, being an antichrist, well, the man worships money. He puts his name on everything in gold. An interesting topic also pertaining to not a biblical thing, but Nostradamus, who said, they say it is said of him, predicted a Hitler type figure when he said a man called Hister, I believe in his like 15th cantos of, I can't remember the prophecy. I want to say it was the 15th begins it. That's the line. And he says that a man called Hister will be born a child of the Rhine. He will have a voice that speaks like a dragon, and he will be like a beast set amongst the Jewish people. Many people will follow him. He's identified as an antichrist by Nostradamus. So take that as it were. Nostradamus, Mother Shipton. There's odd things. There's coincidence. Take it for what it is. We can't know anything, so we're just humans. We're superstitious creatures, and the people that wrote our histories, a lot of them were too. We can't really know everything. However, I would say like the coincidence around those things it does get weird, especially the putting of names on things and then things in the Middle East. And for example, we have like weather events now that make people feel this way. And to talk more about how magical thinking comes into play, when a society really starts to break down, people go thinking magical thoughts. And this kind of magical thinking about demons and Donald Trump and Antichrist, Apocrypha is something that should be studied religiously and stuff. And I am not knocking religion, okay? I am a Marxist. I'm an intellectual. I'm a religious, practicing Jewish person. And I like to practice my faith in using peace, fellowship, equality, things like that. That being said, I'm not knocking people's religions. I don't attack religion, okay? Unless a religion is like attacking other groups of people, and it's the religion doing it, and it's in the, everything has its flaws. But I am going to say that if we look for ghosts in the shadows, we will find what we're looking for. So maybe it's simpler just to say that Donald Trump came from a system that gives rise and gives power to somebody that is demonic-like. So what our ideas of demons are: being proud, they want to be worshipped, they want to fool people, they want to just pile wealth upon themselves and put their name on everything. And then take the good and useful things that a loving creator would find good and useful and destroy those things. And also, at the end of the day, I say don't lose hope, especially if you're under the umbrella of Marxism, whether you're a democratic socialist, a liberal, somebody that, I don't care what your political persuasion is. If you're a moral person, I consider you to be an anti-capitalist, because capitalism in and of itself, though can be moral, it leans towards immorality. So if you're one of these people, I don't think you have any more grounds to hold on to this administration, and it's okay, just let it go. No harm, no foul, but we need to move on, because this is the face. What you do not like about the Donald and what you call demonic and antichrist, it is the face of capitalism. You could find no better a character. Everything about him, he is golden, okay? I used to say that the best poster child for capitalism was Ayn Rand. But that was back when I was reading Milton Friedman and really trying to understand the intellectual's point of view towards capitalism. But we don't see that intellectual's view anymore. Now it's just kind of this ravening dog, like might make right capitalism. And definitely not the Milton Friedman. So Ayn Rand, she'd roll over in her grave at the duncery. I guess I made up a word there. The tomfoolery of Donald Trump. Donald Johann Trump. And it is just utterly pathetic. But the fact is that when you have racist white nationalist pastors like Joel Webbin, the coward of cowards, he says Donald Trump is demon possessed. Let's not give the guy a pass, because if Donald Trump's demon possessed now, that means he must have always been, right, guys? Because he is of the Epstein class. He is a known pedophile, okay? He's a PDF file, right, kids? That's what he is. He's a disgusting criminal human being. He has no class. He is weak and small. He cannot take an ounce of criticism. And that is basically demonic in and of itself.